Was Jaren Duran robbed of a Gold Glove award in 2024? That and more is discussed on today's Locked On Red Sox.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I am here to discuss all things Boston Red Sox with you Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And the best part is it's completely free. So you might as well tune in because Locked On is your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Welcome to the show. Happy Monday. I am back after 2 weeks off. I did get married and had an absolutely beautiful wedding in Connecticut along the shoreline. Weather was absolutely perfect, 65 and sunny. Could not have asked for a better day. Then my husband and I spent a beautiful honeymoon in Grand Cayman, which was super fun and a beautiful spot. Just so many friendly people there. The weather was consistently around 85 and sunny even at night. We spent lots of time on the beach, at the pool, doing other activities that got us off the resort, like swimming with dolphins, which was something that was always on my bucket list. So I really enjoyed doing that. And I definitely got some sun, as people have mentioned to me in the last couple days since I've been back. But I do have a new last name, Maljanian. It is Armenian. My husband's family on his dad's side is all from Armenia. So Gabby Maljanian, which has an interesting ring to it. I'm going to continue to use Hurlbut for now until people kind of get used to the name change and the adjustment. And then I'll implement that a little bit more on to the show. But speaking of the show, Steve Lennox, big shout out to him for doing a great job filling in for me over the last couple of weeks when I was gone. He brought some great guests on the show, and I look forward to bringing you some more Red Sox content this week, including the Gold Glove Award winners, which were announced on Sunday evening. And Wilyer Abreu won his first Gold Glove in right field, becoming the first Red Sox rookie Gold Glove winner since 1975, which is very cool. And he also is the first Red Sox Gold Glove winner since Mookie Betts won the award in right field in 2019. He's also just the seventh rookie outfielder in MLB history to win one. Abreu did beat out two other finalists, Joe Adell from the Angels and Juan Soto from the Yankees. He's the first Red Sox rookie to win a Gold Glove since Fred Lynn in 1975, but also just the third ever, joining Lynn 49 years ago and catcher Carlton Fisk in 1972. I mean, talk about good company there. Definitely not a lack of talented names there that he is joining. He set himself apart so much on defense, backed by range, all-out hustle, and just an absolute cannon of an arm. He's so deserving of this honor. He's just the seventh rookie outfielder in history to win a Gold Glove, joining Tommy Agee in 1966, Fred Lynn, like we said, Ichiro Suzuki in 2001, Luis Robert in 2020, Stephen Kwan in 2022, and Brenton Doyle in 2023. The 25-year-old Abreu came to the Red Sox along with Enmanuel Valdez from the Astros in exchange for Christian Vasquez at the 2022 trade deadline, which is actually crazy when you think about it, because the Astros were trading for a rental of Christian Vasquez, and yes, it helped them win the World Series that year, but we got a super crazy talented player in Wilyer Abreu in the whole process. So that's pretty cool to think about. He was a mostly unheralded prospect in the Astros farm system and swiftly made his mark shortly after the trade, producing a breakout season for AAA Worcester in 2023 when he belted 22 homers to go with a 929 OPS. That ended up earning him a promotion to the Red Sox on August 22nd of that season, and he's been with the big league club ever since when he decided to impress in AAA. He provided so many thrills in the outfield this season by being equally adept at tracking balls just in front of the wall or getting his uniform dirty by literally diving for sinking liners. He made so many plays, and a lot of times runners wouldn't want to chance it when he got the ball in the outfield because he could absolutely hose somebody with that arm that he has. Another thing that set him apart was the way he races back for a ball and extends his glove back just at the right time to snare it. It's as if he has a magnet in his glove, legitimately. Like he was always making those types of plays. He said, every time I see myself with dirt on my uniform, I feel happy because I feel like I'm giving 100% and feel like I'm helping the team. For me to be able to help this team win is very important. I think that the key thing for me is I never give up on the ball. I play the ball until the last second, and that's the key. And even if I feel like the ball is over my head, I still go for it hard. And that is 100% true because we saw him crash into the wall multiple times, literally not giving up until he absolutely has to, leaning over the wall to try to make a catch. And that's something I really like about him. While center field is the toughest outfield position generally at most major league ballparks, right field has that distinction at Fenway because of how it's built. And Abreu proved right away that he was capable of handling the challenging angles and the ample ground to cover from the pesky pole, which is 302 feet from home plate, to straightaway right, which extends to 380 feet. So Fenway's right field is more difficult to play than any other right field in baseball. And for him to win the Gold Glove playing that position says a lot about his defensive ability. He joins a club that includes past standouts Mookie Betts, Shane Victorino, Dwight Evans, and Jackie Jensen by winning a Gold Glove in right field. While the eye test was enough for just about any observer to see Abreu's potential in right field, the metrics also backed up his performance because he recorded 7 outs above average, which was tied for first in MLB with Brewers outfielders Jackson Chourio and Sal Frelick. He also led the majors in defensive runs saved by a right fielder with 17, and his 9 assists tied Hunter Renfroe and Juan Soto for most at the position. So defensive runs saved with 17, that means that because of Abreu's defense, he was able to prevent 17 runs from scoring, which is very good, and 9 outfield assists to help make plays and get the outs. And 7 outs above average is also very good. That's basically a range-based metric of skill that shows how many outs a player has saved. Prior to 2020, it was an outfield-only metric, but has now been expanded to include infielders, but it's calculated differently for outfielders and infielders. So outs above average for outfielder starts with catch probability, which takes the distance an outfielder must go, the time he has to get there, and the direction he travels to put a percentage of catch likelihood on each individual batted ball that goes out there. The outs above average for outfielders is a season-long cumulative expression of each individual catch probability play. So, for example, if an outfielder has a ball hit to him with a 75% catch probability, that is when an average outfielder would make 3/4 of the time, and he catches it, he'll receive a plus 0.25 credit. If he misses it, he'll receive minus 0.75, reflecting the likelihood of that ball being caught by other outfielders. Adding up credit for every play made or not made contributes to a seasonal outs above average number. In 2019, Victor Robles led MLB outfielders with plus 23 outs above average. So basically, what that all means in summary is that Wilyer Abreu averaged 7 outs saved, which is very good. That means he was making catches at a lot higher of a rate than other outfielders were making them, and he was able to make catches that typical outfielders wouldn't make. And that goes to show how strong his skill set actually is in the outfield. So he was super fun to watch out there. He also received a Fielding Bible Award as the best defensive right fielder in baseball. And he ranked in the 98th percentile in baseball arm strength with 94.8 miles an hour. And he was in the 91st percentile in outs above average. He played 132 games for the Red Sox this year and made 106 starts in right field. And he also contributed with his bat, hitting .253 with 15 homers, 33 doubles, and a .781 OPS. He's expected to receive Rookie of the Year votes when those results are announced later this month. And the season he had all around, contributing both offensively and defensively, impressed Alex Cora, who said, I think he's going to be a guy that's going to hit for power. He can steal bases and win a Gold Glove in right field, which was what Cora had said in September. So he's special. I really enjoyed watching Wilyer Abreu in 2024, and we'll see what the future holds for him. But another outfielder who was a Gold Glove nominee was Jarren Duran, who didn't end up winning the Gold Glove in center field. He lost to Daulton Varsho. Did Jaren Duran get robbed of a Gold Glove? No. And was he good in the field? Absolutely. He had a .994 fielding percentage in 2023 and a .984 fielding percentage in 2024. So those are both really solid. That means he didn't make many errors in the field at all, but his fielding percentage wasn't as effective as it was in 2023. And he played in 160 games for the Red Sox in 2024, only played in 102 games in 2023. The guy was able to be healthy, and that's what we love to see. Opportunities, he had 374 in 2024 and recorded 356 putouts and 12 outfield assists. He made 6 errors as opposed to just 1 in 2023, and that goes to show, I mean, yes, he played in more games in 2024, so that should be considered, but he was slightly more effective in the outfield in 2023. And Daulton Varsho had a great season, winning his first career Gold Glove award. And yes, Duran had a great season, but Varsho put together one of the best defensive seasons we've seen in Toronto. His teammates showered him with praise all season long, particularly pitchers who have him to thank for a few points falling off their ERA. He was fantastic, and he now has the hardware to back up what the rest of baseball already knows about his skill set. His case this season was simplified when Kevin Kiermaier, another of the game's elite defenders, was dealt to the Dodgers at the trade deadline. Varsho had split his time between left field and center, but we were able to see the true ceiling of his defensive talent when he was playing in center on an everyday basis. The eye test definitely backs up the accolades too, particularly on the numerous catches he made up against the wall, and the advanced metrics also tell the same story. Prior to his season being cut 3 weeks short by a shoulder injury that eventually required rotator cuff surgery, the 28-year-old led all of Major League Baseball outfielders with a +17 fielding run value, which wrangles all of StatCast's individual defensive metrics together into one ranking. When it comes to outs above average, he was tied for 5th among all MLB defenders at +16. Varsho's ball skills are exceptional, and what makes him truly special are his first few steps, because his jump is defined as technically the first 3 seconds after the ball is hit. And when it comes to getting jumps, he's among the game's elite. Within those first 3 seconds after contact is made, he covers 3.7 more feet than the average outfielder. Only Jacob Young of the Nationals covers more with 3.8 feet. And that's what puts him in position to make so many plays in the outfield look easier than they should be. His defensive value carried him a lot because he was average at the plate, but how he contributed defensively was what made him such a valuable piece to his team. And yes, Jaren Duran was able to cover a lot of ground in the outfield too because of the speed that he was able to utilize. But ultimately, at the end of the day, he was not robbed. Varsho had a better season defensively, and this is not to take away at all from the season Jaren Duran had, as he was exceptional and was the most reliable player the Red Sox had in 2024. But when you think about everything and contributing in the best way, you could hone in on everything Duran did for his team and say he was a better overall player. But when you take just defensive metrics alone, the numbers don't lie. Varsho was ahead of him. So I still love Duran in center field. Still think he'll make for a great player for this Boston Red Sox team, both offensively and defensively moving forward. But in terms of this season and what he provided on defense, he was not robbed of a Gold Glove. But I am very happy for Wilyer Abreu for being that Red Sox representative and beating out a couple other very talented players in right field. I feel like there's still so much more potential that we have yet to see from Abreu, but will he be in a Red Sox uniform in 2025? That is all being discussed next. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL, all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. FanDuel is a great way to make so much money. And the best part is that you can bet on lots of different sports when you're doing it. So it really can help you find a lot of success. So don't forget to check that out today. In talking about the Boston Red Sox and Wilyer Abreu winning the Gold Glove Award and Jaren Duran not getting robbed of one, as much as us biased Red Sox fans would like to feel, we have to consider what the roster could look like in 2025, because now that the World Series is over, teams are officially allowed to start negotiating with players that are free agents to talk about contracts for this upcoming season. And one of the biggest things for me that I'm going to be looking at when it comes to this upcoming season is, how are the Red Sox going to approach this offseason? Are they going to go all in on pitching? And by going all in on pitching, I don't necessarily mean just signing free agents, because they absolutely should be offering a lot of money to these talented pitchers who are on the free agent market, like Jack Flaherty, Max Fried, who I'm a little bit more hesitant about just because of his age. But those are just a couple examples of starting pitchers who are going to be available on the market. And the Red Sox know they have work to do in their bullpen. So some of this is going to have to happen via trade, because the Red Sox can't go out and expect to acquire everybody when it comes to free agency. They are going to have to be willing to trade for some players that will help maximize their roster and make them a better overall team. And what does that look like? Because if they want to execute some trades, they're going to have to throw some good high-level talent in there. So when you think about it, you have a very talented outfield core right now. I mean, obviously, Wilyer Abreu just won the Gold Glove for right field. Jaren Duran in center field, who is the most versatile player that the Red Sox have on this roster because of his offensive ability, his defensive ability, and his athletic ability, specifically his speed. So that's a player you absolutely don't want to get rid of. That would be so tough to justify. Then you have Rafael, who plays out there, but also can play in the infield and played shortstop and center field in 2024 and kind of spent some time at both of those. And when it comes to Rafael, he's a great defender. And the Red Sox extended him for that reason, because of his exceptional defense. And he's not necessarily the best hitter right now. He's about an average hitter, according to his 2024 season. but he was only a rookie and just needs more time to learn the ropes. I do see some people calling him JBJ 2.0 that can't hit but has phenomenal defense. I don't think it's fair to place that kind of assessment on him just yet. I think he deserves a little bit more time to prove himself at the plate before we start calling him JBJ 2.0. I am not ready to do that yet. Now, if we see him hit in 2025 and he isn't necessarily performing at a better level than he was in 2024, then maybe we could start to have some conversations and express concerns about his offensive ability. But he definitely needs some more time. Then they had Tyler O'Neill in the outfield in 2024, who provided a huge offensive spark with his bat by hitting lots of home runs and being a power bat that the Red Sox kind of lacked before. And he was a right-handed hitter, so he helped balance out a lefty-heavy lineup. So there were a lot of pros that he brought to this Red Sox team, especially in regards to his offense. But he is a free agent, and the Red Sox likely should let him walk unless they're looking to keep him and trade another outfielder, which still could happen anyway. And then you have Rob Refsnyder, who's kind of the utility guy, kind of bouncing around. The potential of him retiring was in the mix. So who really knows what's going to happen there with him? But he's a great veteran leader to have in this clubhouse. So when it comes to trades, if the Red Sox want to go all in on pitching and make some trades, the question is, who do they trade? That's been a pending thing. Here is looking at this Red Sox team and saying, okay, who does it make sense to move? And as difficult as it is right now, when you look at the overall makeup of this Red Sox roster, moving an outfielder makes the most sense because of the talent level they already have in there, not to mention a star-studded prospect in Roman Anthony, who I'm going to be talking about a little bit later on the show. To me, if you're going to move an outfielder, it makes sense to move Wilyer Abreu. After the season that he had in right field and how much potential he showed both offensively and defensively, there will be lots of teams vying for a talent like that. And the reason that moving Abreu might make sense now is because he doesn't provide as much versatility as Duran provides. He doesn't have that same type of speed that Duran has, but he can get the Red Sox really solid pitching in return. Because if you sprinkle in maybe a couple other players, ideally Yoshida would be traded, but I'm not holding out high hopes for that because I don't know if other teams would want to take on that contract after the season that he had. So if you pair in a couple other players, but you have Wilyer Abreu in there, that's a really intriguing package to teams who say, oh, Wilyer Abreu has a ton of upside because he showed a lot of potential in his rookie year, winning a Gold Glove and joining a really prestigious group of players who has won a Gold Glove in their rookie season. And he showed a lot of potential at the plate. So there will be teams that would want a player like Wilyer Abreu that they can incorporate and mix into their outfield and have for a very long time. And teams with really solid pitching arms would be willing to give up higher caliber pitchers for him. And this is where hard decisions need to be made. And Craig Breslow already kind of said that nothing's really off the table. Obviously, nothing is not something that should be taken literally because they're obviously not going to go and trade Rafael Devers. But I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I think he was basically saying, we could see some players from the current roster moved. And that could be a hard pill to swallow for some, because if you think about it at the end of the day and it comes down to it, we like these players and Red Sox fans grew to love these guys. And when you look at the roster they had, I mean, it was flawed, very much so from a pitching standpoint. And all the frustration that came with the 2024 Red Sox is all going to come back to bite them and happen all over again in 2025 if they don't make a big splash this offseason. And to me, making a big splash this offseason means going out and getting competitive pitchers to add to both the rotation and the bullpen, because the bullpen isn't completely cleared either. Yes, they have Liam Hendriks coming back. Yes, they have Garrett Whitlock coming back, who I think should pitch in the bullpen. but there's no guarantees about what these guys are going to look like because of the fact that they have been removed from the game a little bit because of being injured and missing time. So who knows how they're going to look when they come back. But in my ideal world, they would pull the plug and trade somebody in an area where they have a lot of depth so that they can bring somebody in. For example, it wouldn't really make a whole lot of sense to trade key infielders right now because the infield talent that the Red Sox have right now isn't as plentiful as it is in the outfield. I think they could pull off, if they were to trade Wilyer Abreu, adding in somebody like Enmanuel Valdez or even David Hamilton, guys who aren't utilized as much and really were playing a lot because of injuries. Because if they're going to have Vaughn Grissom be the starting second baseman, obviously with Trevor Story playing shortstop, then they really don't need all of those players on their roster. David Hamilton, I only would be hesitant about moving because of the speed he provides. He and Jarren Duran, both in the lineup, provided a big threat to opposing pitchers. And then you have Rafael, who also has speed in the later part of the order. So from that standpoint, I think having David Hamilton around to be able to pinch run for guys is very valuable. So, but if you're looking to move a guy who doesn't get as much playing time necessarily, Nick Sogard could be another option, somebody who made a big splash in his short time in a Boston Red Sox uniform in 2024. Maybe you add him into the deal with Abreu, and then that's not really putting them out that much because then they still have their guys who could start in the infield like Story and Grissom. So maybe Sogard made enough of a splash where he could be a secondary piece in a trade to get some pitching back. But at the end of the day, they need to go all out and get pitching. And that might mean moving players that people aren't happy about as much, but it makes a lot of sense for where the Red Sox are at. If they want to be a playoff contending team, this is what needs to happen. So go out and make the moves to get pitching, but don't make moves that don't make sense. Do moves that make sense and get rid of guys at positions you have a lot of depth in. Then the Red Sox could be a contending team in 2025, but it's all up to what they as an organization want to do. And speaking of decisions, could Roman Anthony be on the opening day roster for the Red Sox in 2025? That's coming up next. GameTime is a great ticketing site for any live event that you want to go to, whether that's a sporting event, concert, comedy show. GameTime offers tickets to all of those events at a much cheaper price than other ticketing vendors do. I know because I've experienced it firsthand. I've used GameTime to get baseball tickets, basketball tickets, anything along those lines. When it's really expensive on other ticketing vendors, it's not as expensive on GameTime. So I highly recommend using it, especially because tickets to sporting events nowadays are getting so expensive. Like if you have a family of 4 or 5, you'll get much more reasonable prices on GameTime. For example, it's obviously football season. NFL games are really expensive, but I was looking into Patriots tickets and found them to be a lot cheaper on GameTime. And that's the great thing about it is you can get good seats at cheaper prices. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime picks. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download GameTime today. What time is it? GameTime. You will not be disappointed if you download GameTime because it always ensures the best prices, and that's exactly what you need when you're looking to go to a sporting event, especially with multiple people. In talking about the 2025 Boston Red Sox and looking ahead to their roster, it's very exciting to think about some of the talent they have in the system, including star-studded prospect Roman Anthony, who, according to Baseball America, is the best prospect in baseball right now. That's not something to mess with. And he is a player who I'm very excited to see at the major league level. And he certainly made a splash in the minors, getting his call up from the Sea Dogs to the Worcester Red Sox in August, on August 13th of 2024. He got moved to AAA and made his AAA debut then. And in his AAA debut, he literally recorded 3 hits, going 3 for 4 with a run scored. So he already immediately when he got called up to AAA, made a big splash in that first game. And then he was slow for a few games going hitless and then recorded 2 hits in a game on August 18th and then 4 hits going 4 for 5 in a game on August 20th. So it didn't really seem like there were a lot of nerves for him when it came to moving up to AAA. It felt really natural. And a lot of times that does happen when you're going from minor league level to minor league level because you still don't have as much attention on you. What's going to be a question for me going into 2025 for him is if he does get that call up to the majors in 2025, what is that going to look like? Is he going to get called up to start the season and there's going to be a lot of pressure on him and lots more eyes on him than he's used to, and he's not going to be able to handle that pressure right away? So are his skills going to be affected a little bit? Is he going to start the season in AAA because the Red Sox feel like they have enough outfield depth and they don't really need to rush him into coming up to the majors? That's another question too. And I think it also depends on what the outfield looks like after this offseason when the Red Sox make the moves that they need to make to add to this pitching staff and get this team back to where it needs to be. Are they going to move outfielders and create room for Roman Anthony to come up right away and start the season? Because I definitely don't want them to rush him into it. But if he's ready, I feel like it could be great for his confidence to call him up. His batting average on the season was a 292 with a 397 on base percentage and 500 slugging. In the last 90 days of the season, he was hitting 361 with a 470 on base percentage and 565 slugging. He really killed it in AA. Did not spend a whole lot of time in Portland with the Sea Dogs, which is very exciting because yes, he started the season there and spent the first few months there, but being able to get called up to AAA when he did is definitely super promising for this Red Sox team. So then when you look into even more of his stats, his best month batting average wise was September with a 375 batting average. And that's really promising because he just continued to improve all season long, going from a 206 batting average in April to 280 in May to 250 in June to 284 in July to 343 in August and 375 in September. So he actually took a huge leap in batting average once he went from AA to AAA. And that's promising because if he had gone down, there would have been some cause for concern. Like, okay, is this level too competitive for him? But him improving a lot in his hitting when going to AAA shows that he has a lot of the recipes to succeed at the major league level. And hopefully because he had his best batting average in September, that he was able to figure out what worked for him with his swing and can carry that into 2025 in order to have a successful season. But I do feel like the Red Sox might want to wait a little bit longer because ultimately he only spent a couple months in AAA. And to them, that might not be enough time to really make sure that he has the skill set to be able to come up and contribute at the major league level. So I could see the Red Sox saying, look, this kid is super talented. We're excited for the possibility of him eventually coming up to the major league team and helping out. But we do need to start the season with him in AAA so that he can get more reps and more at-bats there. And that's totally fine. Do I think he'll get his major league call-up at some point during the 2025 season? 100%. Do I think it's going to be right away? No. I know there are people who want it to be. And, I think there's a possibility, but I don't see it happening. I think they give him some more time in AAA to continue to develop and hone in on his skills. Because if this kid is as special as all of the baseball reports are saying that they are and the minor league analysts, they don't want to do this wrong. They don't want to rush him up and destroy his confidence and have him come up to the majors and struggle, because that mentally could be really taxing on him and we might not get as much out of him as the Red Sox really want to get out of him. This is a long-term thing. He is one of those guys that the Red Sox have made clear that they want to build around. So I'm not seeing him be called up to start the 2025 season unless somebody were to get injured and couldn't play. I see them waiting a little bit longer, but maybe partway through the season, he's continuing to kill it in the minors, so they decide they want to give him a chance. So it's exciting to think about the possibility of him coming up, and it goes to show how bright the future is for the Red Sox in terms of these really talented young prospects who could come up and be a huge part of the future of this organization, one that is desperate to go back to the playoffs. So we'll see what happens with Roman Anthony. We'll see what happens with the Red Sox offseason and the types of moves they make to make this team better and back to being a playoff team. I do appreciate you making Locked On Red Sox your first listen today. For your second listen, please find Locked On MLB. Baseball guru Sully brings a daily blend of humor and baseball, keeping you updated on every rumor and story throughout the offseason. Find Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts so you can check out Locked On MLB right after this, where Sully can talk to you again about the Yankees blowing a 5-0 lead in Game 5 of the World Series, which was nice to see, and you really can enjoy that. Appreciate you tuning in my return to Locked On Red Sox. As always, keep the faith, go Red Sox, and I will catch you on the flip side.